Ready when you are.
I just fired it up.
Bueno.
So I'm putting this on. I'm recording like the back end of Restream, so that I can see your screen essentially when you come on here in a minute. I just put this Bitcoin chart on just to have something for a minute. But
Cool.
this way, when you are like going through your stuff, it'll be on like anybody wants to watch TikTok, but otherwise it'll be on YouTube.
Cool. CVO invites me to watch his live stream on TikTok. I'll think about it.
All right. I'm just gonna. So here I'll send you the link too if you want to throw it on like Twitter real quick for YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. I assume it's in the group.
I'll put it there right now. Slacking. It's easier when you preset it. All right, where are we at here? All right. OC Pet Doctor, how you doing, my friend? We're gonna get started here in like 2 seconds. Everybody, sorry for the delay. Oh, there we go. All right. Ba-ba-ba. Link to you, Magic. And let's see.
How are you tired and less wealthy, man? I love you, but like I gotta ask. We were looking for this move.
Tired and less wealthy. Is that music? Can you hear that music in the background? Is it too loud?
Yeah,
Magic.
I can hear it. It's all right.
Just cut that. All right. All right. Link is out. Let me just throw it on the old tweeter, and then we'll get started here. I guess we can just go ahead and get started. So, welcome in everybody. So our Thursday night leading crypto market update. Magic Internet Money and myself will be going through this. So anybody watching on TikTok, two things: it's on YouTube if you'd like to see better quality, the whole screen. Pause it, yada yada. It'll be there afterwards, recorded either way. And then essentially you're looking at the back end of our streaming center. So Magic will be speaking here in a minute, going over Bitcoin, cover some alts, probably gonna cover APE coin, a couple others. I'll go over a couple altcoins as well. Really going to walk everybody through this recent move on Bitcoin, which, just like Magic had said, we've been really anticipating this over the last couple of days, especially, and then really ever since the 48K move. So, see who we got in here. We got Matt over here, nice Rye guy. A couple people over here in what will Bitcoin do in a recession? All right, cool. Well, I'll flip it over to you, Magic, if you want to get started.
Yeah, definitely.
Take some requests at the end there.
I guess I have two Twitter tabs open, not necessary. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay, so I imagine you can. I don't know how that comes across on the old TikTok, but let's go ahead and take a look at the old Bitcoin. I mean, this shouldn't really be a surprise to anyone. If you've been watching these public updates alone, we talked about specifically if you were not getting back above this little box here, right here, done like a 4-day, right? If you're not holding this as support, which we can see that we did come up here, we actually were looking for this move off of a really nice daily level. There was an order block there as well. Just a lot here to say that this was a good short. A really nice fork there as well too. yeah, if you're not above this, we were looking for the next evolution of it, which, if you guys recall, was the initial golden pocket, right? So we were looking for the golden pocket from here, okay, on the way down. And we said that once this area on the chart was lost, okay, we'll extend that to the right, that we would then be looking for a trend-based target, okay? So a lot of people will jump straight to the one-to-one, or they'll say, well, now we're only looking for C. That is technically incorrect in my opinion. You would be looking for the trend-based golden pocket, and that's where we've landed. Okay, so this was the area that was given both in public updates several times and even in the group. It's just you guys aren't privy. If you're public, you're just not privy to like the trades. This is one of those things where, again, I can tell people where it's going, and it really doesn't matter because it's pretty hard to plan these things out. So yeah, you get down here, we're in bounce territory. So this is big support, and I'll show you why. Again, we've covered this before, but always helps to kind of revisit some of these things just so that everybody knows. This was, yeah, right here was the zone. What's making this zone up is the 35,027, okay? And then you have a daily swing failure pattern that was actually predicated off of a weekly level right here, okay? So when we go in and we zoom in and we actually look at this, you can see that we've come down, we formed it here once, twice, three times, almost fourth touch here, but technically a fourth touch here, and we have not come back to this level until today. So this will be a defended area. It's got Fibonacci confluence. There is volume range confluence as well for this to be an area of interest. So that's where we find ourselves, right? So we're now in the low of the range. You can see that there's not much volume done in this area, just like there wasn't much volume done up here. Okay, so the idea behind that is if you don't get a bounce from this region, which I do think this is true. I mean, the leg down is pretty quick. I think that you'd probably be looking down to this 31.7 to 31.200 level pretty fast. And these are just merged data. So this is just a merged value area low. I think it's the TPO that I'm after. Yeah, there you go. And then we had the untapped level of support that has been on our charts for quite some time, just not relevant until now, right? So that's where these come in at. So yeah, I mean, you are in bounce territory. So one would expect a reaction out of this zone. Not getting reaction from here would be it'd be surprising, but also pretty bad. I think that at that point you do have another $3,000, and another $3,000 doesn't sound all that bad. When you've been in a downtrend for I don't know how many days this is now, but but in the general scheme of things, if you think that we were just at 40K, less than 48 hours ago, another $3,000 is not that much fun. That's a $10,000 drop over the next 48 hours, or total 48 hours there. So could you have spotted this move coming down? We did cover this in the group today a little bit. One thing I had put up, and I believe it was this specific range that we were talking about here. You know what? I think actually it was a time-based range. If not, I'll find it in the chat. Yeah, this is it right here. We'll go down to the 4 hour. So when you're looking at this is your range, and you see the shape of this, you can tell that there's a lot of distribution going on here at the lows of the range, right? Very similar to FTM, actually. So if we go over to FTM, and FTM is in my shitcoins folder here, appropriately so. I was one of the few people that when it was down in this region and up here, I was saying this is not a good buy. This is straight clear distribution unless you can regain the top side of this. They have a very similar look to Bitcoin here. So you were getting lots of signs to tell you that if you did not flip, some pretty key areas on the chart. The very first area you could have been looking for was probably going to be that 40.3K level. That's one that we've been using for, weeks. Well, technically 5 months now because it was created that long ago. But this was the level. It's a level that we've had on our charts for better part of all of 2022, let's put it that way, and better part of 2021. So this would be the volume-based level we were actually looking at. To get over this, you'd be back above this high volume node and challenging out of this like local range, because you do want to split this into two ranges here. That's all you're looking to do, right? So a little education for anyone that is tuning in. And you can see how well respected that is now. So now we're just looking to get out of this and trend up. And there's not much up here. So if you've broken above this level, the only thing you had to worry about was a swing failure pattern of the highs over here. But realistically, if you'd gotten above this, pretty good chance, that you were going to be moving up to the top of the range at that point. But again, the better trade was to wait for the short up here. And that's something that we talked about specifically in our update, looking at this as the potential of a falling wedge. We had said, what's the best trade here? Well, you really can't go short, but you can go long into this, but you have to take profits and look for shorts. And, that was a really easy trade because we got some really nice, we got a really nice setup with it. The setup was definitely there. So, if anyone's aware of the Dalton setup or 80-20, whatever you want to call it, that setup was pretty clean. So going through the comments here, sorry, I'm watching on TikTok as well. It looks like somebody said crashing hard is hard AF. One thing I do want to address is, we see Bitcoin going to, my alts are staked and I'm still down 61%. Everybody always asks me why I don't stake. This is why, because when all these really big incentives on staking come out, and this happened last time Bitcoin had a big time crash. You get all these things where hey, lock your crypto up for 6 months or a year, and we'll give you these ridiculous APYs or whatever. And what happens in that time? that crypto goes to absolute shit. So you are stuck in that hodl mentality, and it's a painful mentality. A lot of people say hodling is the way, but then they complain about it every step of the way. When the price is down, they don't feel good about it. So hodling is, it's definitely too late to short. You don't want to short right here. You're definitely at support. So this is bounce territory. So again, you're at a really easy area of manage. If you don't get above about 38.2, which again is another really nice volume level, coming in, I believe, also in the 6M, and right there. So this is about the level I'd love to see regained if you really want to have any kind of shot here. You could go as low as 37.3. That would be a level to be of interest. You can see how well respected that is. You could really just mark this off as a zone if you wanted to be, somewhat conservative. For me, 38,200 would be the level I want. Coincides with the monthly there. It is also an old quarterly level there. So this little region on the chart, though, in the local immediate time frame, needs to be claimed. And if so, we can start looking at maybe cycling this range. And this is just one large deviation. And that this might actually be a major low if you reclaim this. That's the thing, though. There's a lot of work to be done. So you can't short down here. You can only be taking profits. I still have some of that position open. I've taken 70% of that position off the table from this trade anyway, this specific trade. So I still have about 30% of that position running. I've only hit 2 take profits, and things are going well. So it's really, really simple. I think that the crash itself, or not crash, the downtrend itself is coming to an end based on time. And I've said this before, whether people want to hear that or not, but last time I told you guys the downtrend was coming to an end and that we should be looking for longs was on the 26th of January. Okay, so that was right here. And then I said between the 26th of January and February 8th was the time that we would be looking for a turnaround in the market. And we actually got our exact high here on February 8th. But the uptrend did continue into the key level that we were talking about that you have to get back above. This would be right here. Okay, 47,707. If you've seen any of my content, you know that I've been talking about this level nonstop for a long time. So for me, in terms of when are we expecting this downtrend to end, I keep hearing people say, well, we're not going to go up till 2025 or the halving. I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the next best trade. And for me, looking at timing of things, I mean, it can't go down forever. Do I think we can have another leg down? Absolutely. But I think that is coming to an end here in the next probably 10 days. Lots of things kind of pointing that direction, and a lot of it does stem from the timing and distribution of our prior top right here. There we go. So this was our prior top. You guys know that, and you guys know how much I like my time, and that's actually how I put together this guy right here. It was part of it anyway. Helped me put together this move right here, exact day on the fib day. So when you guys go back and review my content from March, you guys can go back as early as February and catch me telling you guys about this pattern all the way here and telling you it was going to complete on the 28th. I said there's a chance the 10th, but probably not. You're looking out to the 28th of March, and we got the exact high on that day. So these do work. They're not meant to be that exact, but they work pretty well. So I am looking for a turnaround in the market sometime between like anywhere from May 11th to like May 15th. Start looking at that window for, are there signs that the market is reversing? Obviously, this one here reversed on the 24th, so even 2 days before. So we could be seeing the etchings of that over the coming week. Or it could just, it could always just capitulate down. You never know. You can't be right about everything. You just kind of speculate. One thing that we had also talked about here based on this pattern was a nice pitchfork. This one's not based on time or based on any of the other metrics that I use. This one's solely based on just, market structure here. And we said that if we break out of this, then, well, likely we're heading to the side, but you can see that we've rejected off of it perfectly. And we would expect that to continue. So the trend is still down basically until we get something showing us otherwise. Let's talk about the low that was put in though. This move right here, since I've already got the values up on the screen, I do want to talk about this last week, this specific low, this trade. Okay, so since we're keeping it somewhat relevant, we've done our high time frame analysis. We know that if price loses 35,000, we're looking for 31 and some change. Is 28 on deck after that? Absolutely, we have those targets. I'm just giving you guys the next area to look for. Okay, so if you're a trader, you appreciate it. If you're not a trader, you don't care. But maybe you like keeping up with the markets. I know that a lot of people do anyway, even though they say they don't trade, they still look at the price multiple times a day probably. So yeah, so this trade right here was an interesting one. I was talking about it in the group, basically saying that no matter what, we're looking for potentially a push up here. What we did want to see was if we lost 38,467.50, which this is 38,200. It's just a volume level versus a horizontal level. So we're going to keep this on here just for ease of use because I don't want to have to switch the levels out. And it's fairly well respected. I said if we lose this level, we'd be looking down to 36,270. And we did eventually get that target. Nothing changes there. What happened, though, is that this occurred on the weekend. And so I did say that if we get back above the monthly or the 38,467.50 by the end of the weekend, then there's no need to look for these lower targets. And we did come down to kind of temporary support here. We front ran it by about $75, which I'm not used to these levels being front ran too much. They're generally going to be pretty good. So the best trade in this case was we had a nice daily level here. I believe it was, where did that go? Maybe I didn't mark it on this chart, but we will mark it now. We had a really nice daily level here, okay? And actually it does come in over a little bit to the left because this thing was messed with long before this. So it was right here. There we go. There we go. We had a nice daily level that we came back to. We knew that if we lost the daily, we were looking for the taking of this low. That's all we were after. Okay, this low came in on the weekend, right? We're looking to see if we can take this low and will we get this swing failure pattern? And we're not interested in taking this trade unless we get a confirmed failed auction, SFP, whatever you want to call it. That's the only instance you're looking to take that. That was the instructions on it anyway. And obviously when we came down here, there was none of that. It was just straight down. You did get a really nice back test though. So you take the nice move into the support, right? Really nice support, holds, and the move comes up. And so that then builds into this idea that we're looking for this zone that if you guys have, again, watched my content on my page, you can go back and view it. I haven't updated it in a while because I don't really have to. All these levels remain valid pretty much because they're not random. They're not things that just expire. They're based on high time frame information and actual math. We're looking for 39,722, then 40.3K. The best trade would have been just above here, taking these highs. That would have been lovely. You'll hear me say that. Doesn't mean we have to do it though, right? So we had a monthly pivot up here at 40,900, which would have put us above all the highs. And I was like, man, if we get up there and take these highs, that's like the easiest trade in the world. You could take everything out right here, take everyone's stop losses and then dump. That'd be ideal. But what happened is we got up here and we had a really nice setup over here. And let me get rid of this stuff. And I already have it loaded up on the screen. So that's why I'm going to use this one just because it's a little bit simpler. And we had the previous day here, right? So we had our range information, and we can see that we're living above the range. And then once we got acceptance into it at 39,500, you're looking to rotate it in full. Now, doing so puts you back down at 38,467.50, close to that weekly open, monthly level support, 38,200, all that like little region. And if you start to look at the overall structure of your, ranges, like all this information thrown together, what will you notice if that happens, right? So if you were to do something like that, now you're using context and you're saying, well, if I lose this level of support and I'm living below it here in this 38K region, what have I done? I've given up my only high time frame support. One would think then that at a minimum, we're going to see 37,300, but more than likely we'll see lower. And that's why you guys see the clip on my Twitter, or if you're in the group, you see it in the general public chat that I said, I'm expecting this to basically, how I drew it up was like my ideal scenario would be come up like this and then straight down into support, which is where we are now. So, and it all predicates off the context of when this came in and then never coming back and actually touching 37.3. Okay, so those were the context of why that was a good trade. Knowing that the stocks were going to pump on Monday, getting a good Monday, not really knowing they were. This is how they opened up. You got a good, green Monday and Tuesday, got good news, right? But this came in on the weekend. You look at the OI. The OI is not good. You come up here and you see, you don't really see what you need to see for continuation. You saw some bull div here and there trying to SR flip this level, but as you start seeing market structure come in, you'll notice that you did start seeing some levels of absorption, some levels of people pushing down. And then again, right here, I think it was actually Twin in the group that called this one out, or somebody else did. He confirmed it. I did save the chart. I'll pull it up and give them a little shout out here. But on the way down, this actually front ran my take profit because my take profit was 36,288. And it came down to 36,323. But instead of just closing the trade manually, I just stayed patient and waited, because as we came up here to backtest this 37.3 level, which again was our key level here, right? We just front ran it. Doesn't mean it's not support or resistance now. Just because you went through the level doesn't mean it won't be resistance later. We get the SR flip on the bearish divergences here that were spotted in the group. So what you can see here, you can see that delta is rising. You can see that it's all positive, but price is making lower highs into resistance. What does that tell you that's going to happen? Well, more than likely, you're going to see a move down. Okay, so you're going to see a rejection at a minimum. Does it mean that it's going to take these lows? Not necessarily, but the context for me was I'm expecting this level to get hit just due to the importance of it, just due to what the nature of how this level was formed. There's no reason why we wouldn't come back down here and test this again. So 36,270 was the level to be looking at. And then one could be looking for longs in this region if they were looking for scalp trades that could potentially turn into swing trades over time. If levels are regained from this level, yeah, you could put on a swing trade. Does that mean that it's a full-blown reversal and we're going to all-time highs? No. It just means that, for the better part of a few days or a week, you might get the chance to live inside of a long, which you get to do that occasionally with Bitcoin, and everyone gets super excited about it when it happens. So you do need to pay attention to these lows here between 36,270 and 35,027. That's the relevant level on the chart to be upfront with you guys. After that, you're really looking up to, you got to walk it up there, 37.3, 38,200, and that would really be it. Let me see if there's any questions that I'm missing here, because I'm not doing a very good job of looking at the chat. I got a guy spamming Kadena. I don't think anything of Kadena, man. I've never looked at it. I don't even know what it is. Couldn't tell you. It's probably an altcoin. I will look at altcoins. I did that in the group last night. I look at them pretty frequently. I'll go over ApeCoin with you guys. And let me make sure there's none on the old YouTube here. Get in a restream.
Good old ApeCoin.
Yeah, well, ApeCoin. So there's some influencers out there saying that it was pure manipulation and you can't trade ApeCoin. And if you guys go back to the live stream on the 28th when ApeCoin was at its high, I gave you guys the entire move down, like the whole thing, all up front. I even gave you guys the high that it rejected off of after it bounced. So I gave you guys the bounce, then I turned around and gave you guys the high that it was going to go to, and then gave you the low. So this is right here is just an absolute work of TA. That's all it is. This was just TA. So we said that between 18 and 1850 is what it would bounce at. This thing bounced at 1835.80. So right inside the bounce zone. I told you if it did not get back above $23.72 or 23.722 on a closing basis, it can bounce that high and nothing really means anything, and that we could wick above there and go to $25. And this went up to $25.10. After that, we're looking for acceptance into the range, a bounce at $14 back to the POC and the SFP level, which you got. And now you're looking underneath 14. And if the range is not regained, you are looking down to $12. And the buy zone that I gave was between $10 and $12 for this coin. And that's very speculative because there's not a lot of information on this thing yet. So this as an overall range, the range that I'm giving you, am I confident in it? Not necessarily. There's only like 6 weeks of price action here. So you kind of have to take it at face value and wonder, but yeah, you can't not be risk on. If you're going to trade, you're going to trade. So you just have to understand that if you lose this area of the chart, like if we make it back down to this region of the chart, it doesn't turn around from here and work off of a deviation. This could just work as a deviation. And then we get back in the range and then come up and out of the range and make new highs, But if you're looking for the lows of the range, you just have to be careful because if you blow through this, you're going to price discovery to the downside at some point. And, obviously $9 is down here, but like you lose like $9, man. And like this thing could go to like $5, $4, $3, $2, it doesn't matter. If we're doing that, the whole market's probably crashing. We're getting a flash crash out of Bitcoin potentially. And this thing's just going to go to absolute hell in a handbasket, just like most of the other alts will. They'll just get crushed, So those videos will be coming up. They'll go on my TikTok and YouTube. And I know you guys don't like them because we did the analysis live. Now I'm just bragging about it. That's all it is. But, we have to do that. I don't have to, but it is what I'm going to do. So, somebody asked about Link. I'll go over Link. Link's very simple, man. Link is very simple.
T-Bone wants to know if the bearish divergence was the one that he and Matt called out and confirmed.
Yeah, that was you guys. I was giving you guys the credit on that one. In the order flow. So inside order flow, these guys just absolutely nailed it. I don't even have to work that hard. Like I don't do use EXO as much as these guys do. These guys are really into it, but I will use it myself. But they called out bearish divergence right here for the bounce. I don't know if you guys called it out this morning because the dump started getting underway when I was waking up, and I compounded my short because I had taken a short off of about 40K flat. And then I went in pretty heavy after we lost 39.5. But it may have been up a little bit more. It's hard to keep up. You guys get quite a bit going in here. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a pretty easy move, like a very straightforward move for anyone that's not in the group and you're not in the update section. Like the update section for me is pretty active on Bitcoin, but coming into last night, this was it. It was this morning technically, but we did our live stream last night. Very, very simple, We're looking for 39.5, and if we lose $39,000, that means we're living in that 38K region. Then there's no reason we wouldn't be looking for our targets. And this was the target. The target box is there. So it's into the box you go. We get our bounce, and then we play it by ear. So there's no sense in trying to say that we know everything. It's just one of those things where we can kind of map things out pretty well, especially since a lot of this is just range trading at this point. And range trading's should be some of the easiest things that you guys do. Just I think very few people do it correctly, like very few. So it is what it is there. But yeah, is there any other questions I need to address?
The Mad Chatter's got one.
Yeah, T-Bone. What has he got here? What are your thoughts on the pattern now and before the last minute? I don't really put anything on there, Mad Chatter. I had mentioned this. We were along this low where I talked about like if you're an RSI trader, you don't have any RSI divergence yet on the daily, whereas right here you did. So I was like, you'll have to make a lower low at some point and a higher low on the oscillator, which you can see comes in right here, right? So that would imply 35,027, a lower low on that as far as a closing low, and that this RSI right here is not going to close, below that, and you'd get your divergence. But I don't really play a lot of those. I do it because a lot of people like to play divergences. Do I think that these are similar? Yeah, they got some similarities. Like you can see that you took the high here, right? This is just a much bigger range already, in my opinion, because this one right here, what is this? May 19th. Let's. I think it was like 70 days. we'll just say this is when the range started and that this is when the range ended technically right here, because that's the last time it was in the range. 78 days, right? So if we look over here at this one, it really depends on how you count this range. Do you count it right here on the December 4th drop because you've overlapped price now? Or do you count it, right here on this drop? We'll look at both, but I would say this would be the one because for me, this is the drop that really mattered. And this is 153 days. If you went off of this here and just said that this is the range, it's still 121. If you went off of here and you said that this is the range, still 105. Any way that you cut it, we are definitely in a much larger consolidation than we were before. So for me, I'm not really a fractals trader. I don't really get into that too much. If this just starts going sideways, I will tell you guys, like I said, I don't remember which live it was. We have so many of them anymore. There's 2 for the group every week and this one, and then occasionally like random ones. Let's get rid of some of this stuff on the chart. If this is not dumping, like let's say that we hold support here, right? Let's just kind of like hypothetical, okay? Hypothetically, you hold support here. You're not breaking down. You're hanging on to this level. We never see 31,000 or 32,000. We never see 28, any of those other ridiculous price numbers that people are on about. This holds a support, but it just goes sideways and gets really boring, kind of like right here, right? So it goes sideways, gets boring. Like maybe we do take these lows, maybe we don't. And then it starts going sideways like this. And this was a very clear harmonic. This video is up on my TikTok as well from this time range, just so you guys know. Called this one out in advance, like right here, before the C leg was even formed, before we hit this high, had given you guys this reversal pattern to the upside, all predicated off the idea that we had this swing failure pattern at 29,800 that would hold as support right here. We'll change it to white for everyone that's watching. Okay, so this was the level that had to hold, and this is the level that we talked about nonstop in 2021 in July. Those videos are still up there on TikTok, so you guys can go back and audit me if you want to. But this was the pattern that you got, and it was just really boring. Bears have the ball. They're failing to push. I think I even said, I was like, it doesn't really matter what happens. As long as we don't lose 29,800, we're good. Even if I think it's going to dump, it doesn't matter, because if we don't close below 29,800 here, you're going to move up. And that's exactly what happened. Even if you were late to this move, like let's say that you didn't get the low here and you're like, fuck, I missed it. You had a really nice range reclaim right there, that all you had to do is wait for the reclaim and just buy the strength, and then know that if you spend this much time, you have this type of a pattern that you would probably cycle the range and then some to the highs. That was the idea behind it, like right here. So you can see how well respected this range is. Get back in the range, even if you only got in at 32,000, 32,300. This went all the way to 69K. Like you can't be mad at that. Even if you were just playing the range, you went from 32K to 42K. Like, cool, you made 33% in a matter of days. Like that's not doing anything, just holding it. That's with no leverage. So like when people say Bitcoin trading is boring, I don't know. I always question their ability to day trade, to get in and actually the trenches here and do this, because these types of moves are just juicy. Like that trade from yesterday where we got the setup here. This is a gorgeous setup. Like it's so perfect. And it just hovered over there, waited for the session to open here in the New York session. And then, right past cash hour and down you go. Really, really nice. All the signs were there to take that short. You're underneath the VWAP, you had absorption coming in, you had bearish divergences. You're giving up a key level, and then you're giving up into a setup that has a historical rating of 75% to specific values, so like you knew exactly where you were going at a minimum. And if you don't catch all the move, that's okay. You still made good money on this. You just, wait for the next area of interest, which was down here. Also, we had a session POC down here waiting for us from February 24th. So, lots of things to say that this box was going to be the area to look at. I think last time I was on, I think this might have been the group only, but I said what you should be doing is putting a channel here and doing this. And that is how you should be trading it potentially. Is just box it off, so that way it's easier for you. And if you look, you hit right at the EQ of it, right? So there you go. I said you should put your order right here at the EQ, and you would have caught the exact low just by being organized and prepared. And I don't limit order into things. So One of my accounts is long. It's just a scalp account, though. There's not much in there, so that's not something that I'm too concerned with. My other main account is still short. It will remain short until I'm forced to close it, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, that's all I've really got. I mean, if there's no questions anyway, but yeah, the longer we go sideways here without dumping, the more bullish I would be. If you were looking at this like last range, the longer you go sideways here, the better. Put in some structure here, try to build up some oomph to get to the back to the top side of the range. Because if you don't, and this starts dumping through, this can just get a lot worse really fast, like really, really fast. And then at that point, you're just setting alerts on your lows. So that's all you're doing. You're just setting an alert like down here. I've gotten, you'll want to set an alert. You'll set an alert right here for this low, and you can play those zones if you want to, or you can just play the areas on the chart that I've got. So up to you guys. Chainlink, I'm DCAing into Chainlink. I am building a Chainlink position. I've been on about Chainlink for a while. I did say I would talk about Chainlink before we moved on, so I will put Chainlink up there. Chainlink is putting in a pretty awesome pattern here, a shark pattern, and my price target on that was $10.28. So we haven't hit it yet. I think the low we've got is 1065, unless we took that today. Yeah, we did. We took it 1063. So we are now at 1063, and that's a-okay. Nothing is broken at 1063. I am just messing up my own charts here. Doesn't matter. We'll just get rid of this guy. But 1028 is the technical completion of this pattern. So if it drops another 40 cents, I don't really care. If we lose $9.30, I do become a little bit worried, mainly because there is support at like 7 and some change. But at that point, you'd be looking to this target here on Chainlink, and this is really, really far down there. You would be looking down to $3.82. And the overall, this is my macro fib time that I pulled back in 2020 for this asset. Nailed the all-time high, nailed the low. The next fib time is the golden ratio, the 618. So probably the most important one you can have. And it is coming in on May 29th, which if you guys follow me for XRP analysis too, I will say probably the best XRP analysis that's been done in the last couple of years. I'm not afraid to toot that horn. I don't do it very often, but I will say that these guys can come catch smoke whenever they want. This one right here this one's been great, but you guys are also getting fib targets for time coming in on the 16th, the week of the 16th, and the week of the 30th for XRP. So when people ask about the structure that you're in, which is by and large a giant triangle of some form, whether you want to look at this as a descending triangle because you have a very flat bottom of support and much lower highs, or I think I saw somebody calling it a triple bottom the other day. That's why pattern trading is just, I would just stay away from it. You lose this zone right here at 57.7 cents. Okay, so 57.7 cents, there is a swing failure pattern down there. You lose that level, and this thing is going down to 29 cents, unless you get just like a deviation of the range. And that's assuming Bitcoin makes a lower low as well. But I would be expecting that to be taking place sometime in the next couple weeks. That's when the fib times are coming in for a lot of these alts, as they're all lining up for mid-May and end of May for these assets to be moving. And then Bitcoin's overall fib time for me on a macro scale comes in here. Again, we've talked about this, that the July 11th, July 12th timeframe is going to just be really, really, we're on the weekly. No wonder this is all messed up. My dates were all messed up there for a second. I was wondering why that was. July, is it July 18th? I'm gonna have to redo this. I think it got off because I moved from the weekly. Did it get off? This should be the 8th. Yeah, these are all off 4 days now. Great. I'll have to go back and fix that. So yeah, this would be July 14th. July 12th to 14th, I think, is what I had for that one. So that is your macro golden ratio for Bitcoin for this cycle. So that's when I'm expecting there to be a pivot in the market as far as Bitcoin, whether it's a low like you got back here, like here's your all-time low, right? There's your 42% pump. This is actually your first break of the macro 0.5. which is a pretty big deal on cycles. If you go from the overall cycle from 1200 down to like 150 and you put the macro 0.5 on there, turn it on the weekly chart, you actually deviate the 0.5 once on the weekly chart before regaining it in almost every cycle. So this was the second time you got above the 0.5 because you deviated it right here, got your second weekly close the exact day that you got this fib point, and off it goes. This was a 30% correction on the 8th, and also called our new range. We're about halfway through it now at the 0.5, looking for the 618 coming in July. So for me, if we're running distribution off of prior cycles, I've been talking about July for a couple of years now. So the 618 for price comes in July, and it'll be very interesting to see what we get. There's a lot of people out there with a lot of theories. I've seen a lot of people saying we're not getting a new all-time high until the 2025. I think that's great. I think when they say that you can't say that you're going to get an all-time high before then, I think that you also can't speculate that you won't, because they don't know either. Nobody truly knows. We're all just working with data. It's just however you want to manipulate it in your own mind to form whatever thesis that you have. Do I think that this is going to make an all-time high anytime soon? Anytime soon? No. Could it by the first quarter of next year? Sure. But you have to understand that's 9 months away. A lot can happen in 9 months. But, we'll see it in the charts. We're not going to just blindly be DCAing and saying, well, it's going to all-time highs because we think the cycle is going to do this. We have to have some kind of an evidence and some kind of, reason to have that thought process. All we know is that the cycles up until now have been lengthening. We have no reason to think that they won't continue to. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you're just buying in this region. Like, this was a great short. This was one of the areas where I said you should just be blindly short coming up to this region. And it would have been a really good decision by anyone that was doing that. It's just, now it's the point where, okay, is it time to close these shorts yet? And it just isn't. It's just one of those things where there's nothing to say to close them yet. If there was, we would all be in longs right now, I guess, but we're not. That's all I really got on it. I could talk about Bitcoin in the charts for far longer than I should. Anything else from you, CVO? CVO. Sorry, man.
Is that like a PVA candle?
Yeah, CVA candles.
Yeah, right. Oh, that could be my nickname. I was looking for a new one.
How low do I think Bitcoin will go? Do you want like my absolute bottom of what I think Bitcoin could go to? Like the absolute doomsday price I think Bitcoin could go to? I don't think it's going to get under 20K. I think a lot of people are looking for that, and I don't see it. My bottom price for it is like $23,795, I think. And it's just it was actually part of one of the doomsday boxes I had up already before I had looked at it. But there's also,
you said 23?
Yeah, about 23.7, give or take. There's a gap down there. Is the only reason why. You do have an untapped, yearly key level from 2021 that never got struck at like 21. But that's one of those things where if you lose those levels, though, I think at that point you're probably looking more like 14K. I just don't really see it going there without like any major, there's just no reason for it to go there. Can it go that low? Like, anything can happen. No one can say that it can't happen. Like, someone can say it's going to 3K, and I can't say, well, that's not happening, like with 100% certainty, because we don't know. We don't know the future, but I can say it's very unlikely. It's highly improbable. I can be in that camp. So for me, I wouldn't be looking for anything underneath like $23,000 personally. But that even to me sounds, I wouldn't say it sounds ridiculous, but it sounds like we're so far away from that it seems pointless to really talk about, because I think if we do get that way and it's not just an absolute capitulation event, it's going to take time, because you still got to think you're going to get through 32K, and then there's 28K. These are all bounce areas that could slow the price down, and then you can start talking about and planning for these areas. You can have them on your charts beforehand, but there's no sense in marrying any of these targets. Getting married to something like that without any reason is kind of silly to me.
Yeah.
Chief Velocity Officer. There you go.
That's it, man. CVO. Yeah, I like our perfect crime. I'm trying to coin it. I'm trying to get that marked out as the next melt up.
Oh God.
I'm just kidding.
He's gonna murder everyone by the end of this
I know.
little cycle because of the melt up thing. I told you when he said melt up, and I told you how much I didn't like the words because I was like, it's nothing personal to him. It's just I heard it constantly, and I was like, now I'm still hearing it, but now it's in the opposite direction of hey, I told you there was gonna be melt up. Now it's people telling him like, you said there was gonna be melt, and I hear it all the time on TikTok. And I'm just like, dude, give it a rest, man. It's just price action. Just let it do its thing.
I mean, we did get a melt up from 33 to 48. I mean, that's a pretty big move.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
do
man.
think, I tend to agree that we'll see a bigger move at some point. But yeah, good old Uncle Weatherman. I miss him.
Yeah.
He usually joins in on our Thursday night crowd somewhere, but I don't see him. All right. H bar is the only coin that OC Pet Doctor. Flipping between TikTok and YouTube with the H bar shill. All right.
Nice.
Taking a look at small coins, right? So Ethereum. Pretty much, I did the update earlier today. So if you weren't on this, I mean, this is pretty much kind of going over, what we've been looking at essentially. I mean, it's still pretty much the same price action. Obviously, yesterday we had a nice little push higher here. One of the things that we noted with the entire market at the time, right, was we are having hidden bearish divergence in Ethereum, which any kind of bearish divergence, bullish divergence across Ethereum, and when it plays out, obviously the rest of the altcoins are going to follow. We also had the same bearish divergence on Bitcoin at the same notation on top of every other confluence at 40K this morning as we were losing it, or 39, whatever. So pretty indicative that we're going to see a move to the downside. Lost our 2-year key level for ETH, and really been waiting for this point of control. This once you re-enter these ranges from the upside or the downside, and for this we actually re-entered this range bearishly, right? So we re-entered, closed back inside, back tested the high. Obviously, got rejected from there, and essentially you got a natural target of this point of control. So it just depends on how much time it takes to get there. It's not a guarantee by any means, but by the look of it, by us being this close at this point, I would anticipate it now for sure. I take back the words for sure. I would anticipate it heavily at this point, right? Not to say we can't run it back, get another rejection off this 2-year key level, and then fall from there. Kind of, lines up with Bitcoin getting a little relief rally, maybe tomorrow if we get one. But I mean, for ETH, really for upside, we really want to see obviously the 2-year key level broken, hold above. But at the end of the day, it's getting out of this range. So we really want to clear this $3,100 region. So between where we are now and this range low, which obviously we can break the range and continue lower. But if where we are now, which is what 2,750 down to like 2,300, these areas here, especially with the main one being the range low itself. These could be very decent areas to DCA into, pick up, positions with for, a longer term play here. And then obviously when you get above this, $3,100, this is, a little bit more of a green light towards upside continuation. At that point, obviously Bitcoin and everything else would be more than likely heading up as well. We still got the same targets above us, short term, going back to the December NPOC, which is a major volume target of about 4,000 even. And all that really becomes relevant once we break out of this range high once again. So taking a look at the old H bar since for the OC, H bar melted through, right? Dropped out of this quarterly range here. We were looking for this level briefly as we kind of came down. This is on the 4-hour time frame. So we held this level for like maybe 24 hours or so. This is the previous range low over here from last year. And then losing that, we ended up at our yearly key level. Assuming that Bitcoin, ETH drops to that range low, Bitcoin drops down a little more, right? This is all under that premise, right? If we start losing these levels for Bitcoin and ETH, you have to imagine, you got to know that all the altcoins are going to take a hit with it. So this 9 cents area, there's a bit of confluence here for HBAR. Magic's been on about this for a while, and it does look like we are indeed, on our way down to that if we do lose this yearly key level right here, about 13 cents. So that would be the next major area here. It's a pretty, like 20%, I think, if not more. Yeah, that's another 30% drop. So this is all, a bearish case right now. So not to say we can't turn around from here, but at the moment, everything is still pretty much hinges on Bitcoin, right? And you've also got the same deal with MTV is dead. We'll take a look at MTV. But yeah, so that's H bar, right? Looking for that 9 cent area. One coin I'm shocked that has held up, especially with us dropping so drastically on Bitcoin today, is Jasmy, right? Like this is a small cap, high risk on Coinbase. I brought this up to the group here when we were at the range low, ran into the point of control, flipped that, had a pretty much 300% move to the upside, re-entered the range bearishly. From there, you look to rotate the range. I do imagine we're going to see this range low again. And once again, that's all on the premise of, everything kind of dropping a little bit in the market. That'd be another 35% drop. And that's all under the idea if we lose this point of control. So anybody that's in Jasmy, looking to get in Jasmy, you can leverage trade this, which is pretty risky, but that stop loss would really be under this point of control right here, which is essentially at 0.01736. If you were just die hard trying to get into Jasmy. But I'd be looking for this range low to come in, especially if the market does kind of see that drawdown. Once again, all dependent on Biddy. Those are some of the most disrespected levels. KDA dropped out of that range. All right, let's look at Solana. That was one we were looking at earlier. So Solana and Quant have now made it, I think, to the bottom of the range here. Solana's close. Solana, one of two things, right? So Solana is like one of the biggest movers of this cycle so far, from like at least $1 from what I remember. Like when we were first looking at it back in December of like 2020, it was like $1, maybe less. Obviously, it was probably less before then, but regardless, it ran up like 300x, and has so far, retraced pretty well. Recently, we were looking for this yearly key level, right? That's exactly where we topped off at. We were looking to come back down, back test this range high. We ended up actually re-entering the range, closing into it, cycling through to the bottom. Haven't necessarily hit that bottom yet. It's about $80, so it's about $4 away. If you do lose this range, so once again, this is all, you're coming in a major support, pretty clear invalidation points for stop losses, or, however you're going to attest to this. But from there, it's a pretty steep drop. So this kind of goes off the idea, once again, if Bitcoin really sees a deep retrace, whole market pulls back, this and that, these would be the next levels we'd be looking for. One of which is $44. And once again, don't like just how Magic was saying, you can't get married to these levels. This is just kind of, doomsday, worst case scenario, dropping down to whatever. Do they ever play music in the MTV anymore? Hugo Garcia, what's up? Man, I need some music in this place. All right. So anyways, yeah, Solana looking for that range low to come in. Pretty nice exit right there at that yearly key level for anybody that shorted this down. But yeah, that's what we were looking for there. Quant is another one that's basically rotated to the range low. V-Chain is another one. So just kind of listening to that, sense as well as that, when we see a lot of these major alts like hitting these, macro range lows, especially with Bitcoin, the way, granted, yeah, we fell, X amount today on Solana, which only 13, and I say only, but it pretty much fell what Bitcoin fell, which is a little odd. Kind of similar to, there was another drop recently where the alts kind of just fell, not as drastic as you would expect, right? So just something to kind of keep in mind. But we are coming into like major supports pretty much across the board, so just something to kind of be aware of. And like Magic said, definitely in bounce territory. What am I looking for? Quant. So you got Solana coming into macro range low. You got Quant at slightly losing macro range low here as well. For Quant, brought it up earlier, right? We got a 6-month level basically down below us, and $68. And ahead of that is, I think, a weekly, maybe a 2-week, maybe a month. Man, where is that sucker? All right, let's kick them all on. weekly, right here. So $82.74 is the next major area for quant. Came down here in January, I believe. So that would be the next two. If we do lose this range low conclusively, I'd be looking to pick it up at about 83 or 68. Big drop, right? If that was to occur, that's like another 20%. So this is all, worst case scenario, probably going to see that 6 month, another 25% drop. So that would be with Bitcoin probably pulling back another 10%. Otherwise, we are at major support right now. So take it for what it's worth for your portfolio needs. V-chain. V to the chain. V-chain, ran it down to the range low, ran it to the point of control, natural target, right? Obviously got our pullback here with Bitcoin. More than likely, depending on how everything goes, we could come back down to this range low once again. So that's about another 10% pullback. Otherwise, for upside, really want to clear this point of control, which at this point is a pretty big move up before you get that confirmation. So you'd really want to see it's like 15% away. So once again, depends on how you're trading or if you're a long-term holder, whatever. Obviously, this is been a big area to come down as support over the last at least 4 months here. Right now, you're about 10% away from the downside and about 15% away from the upside for continuation up. And that's pretty much what I'd be looking at, right? So look for that point of control to get reclaimed, and then you'd be looking up towards, this is actually the range high. It's just not marked. This is the next range above that, which we did end up entering over here and cycling the whole range to the top there. So just another one to know, right? You got Quant, you got Solana, you got VeChain, all large caps, all coming into macro lows. The one that is just so interesting to me, and the one that still just drives me to feel, once again, it's just a feel that we're just not done yet is ETH, right? So ETH is straight up just diddling in the middle. Doesn't have to come down in the range low, right? Point of control could be very well where we, come down bottom. Always could just be turning around right here at the May Open, but it would be interesting to not come down and tag this point of control now that it's about 5% away. That would, once again, Bitcoin's probably gonna have to pull back with it a little bit. We could get this push up to about 24 to the 24-month level again, right? So far, we're just putting in higher, lower highs, lower lows across the board. And the thing with this is that, say we do rotate to the range low, right? Once and for all, be about $2,300, and it's about a 13% drawdown. You have to imagine Bitcoin would be pulling back the same amount, give or take, right? And that would put us essentially right at that 31.5, 32. So not a guarantee by any means, but like I said, that would be the perfect crime. I'm going to coin it, damn it. All right. It's so interesting how the views go up and down so fast and slow at the same time. I know my man Mason's on, taking up all the views. All right, let's see here. What we got? ADA. We'll take a look at that one. VeChain, we already did. So I hope that makes sense with Ethereum, right? So it's just one of those things. We take a lot of the market as a whole into Confluence, and that's what's the beauty of between Magic and myself. Magic puts the amount of time, and he divulges into some of these altcoins as well, especially on some of the macro times. So he nails a lot of the lows 6 months before they get there very well. Probably the best I've ever seen out of anybody. And then he's obviously spends as much time on Bitcoin that I spend on the other 20,000 alts. So it's just an interesting partnership across the board. But it's nice because when we start seeing Bitcoin coming into massive resistances, macro highs, this and that, high time frame, this you start paying attention to the altcoins at the same time, and Cardano, Ethereum, Chainlink, Crow, VeChain, a lot of these top 20, top 10 coins. If they're all looking the same way, And especially with Ethereum, if it's looking kind of toppy, looking kind of bottomy, showing signs of, daily bearish divergence, bullish divergence, whatever the case may be, it's probably, a good sign that everything's going to correlate together. So that Ethereum chart is just the one that just gets me, because it's the only one that is not cycling through. Everything else is or has, and Ethereum has not. So just something to kind of be aware of, but not, once again, not to get super married to, because at the same time, you do have really decent areas of opportunity here for a lot of these altcoins. Whether this is the bottom or not, you're still talking about something that's down 70%, whatever. So it's it all depends on how you are as an investor, a trader, whatever the case may be. Obviously, you're never going to hit the bottom, or get the exact bottom. You're never going to get the exact top. The money is definitely made in the middle, and not going all in and all out all at once is definitely a good strategy in that sense. So, but ADA did lose the range low. We do have a 3-month right below us that I've been looking for about 72 cents. Losing 72 cents would not be great. So do keep that in mind, right? So looking at this on a daily time frame, I know you can see this on YouTube, but this was pretty much a huge run up. We retraced essentially in full. Next drawdown would really probably be around this level right here, about 40 cents. So this would kind of be doomsday-ish, right? This is probably meaning, XRP is going back to 30 cents. This would be a lot of those lower levels Magic was talking about. Then once again, this is just looking at the bearish scenario. That's what it would be. And a lot of that starts when you lose this 3-month level, because that's pretty much the last line in the sand in my opinion, right? So take that for what it's worth. But 72 cents, if you lose that on a closing basis, so daily especially, consider looking towards that 40-cent level. And obviously that would be another 50% drop. So you take that for what it's worth, because you'd have to imagine that the entire market would have to drop 50%, or give or take in that region for something like Cardano to drop like that. So not impossible, but once again, you just know the levels to look for, so you can protect yourself a little bit from some of the downfall. But at the moment, right, reclaim this range low about 83 cents, get back up there. We slightly did that yesterday, and then we came right back out of it. So this is, these are areas where you can put stop losses in play, and from there we'd be looking back up towards the point of control, range high, yearly open, same levels we've been looking at. So what? Zach is on. Oh man, yeah, all the big boys are on, huh?
I figured you saw that comment. You like that? Halfway into financial reset and chill, and he gives you this look. Yeah, that's Zach. That's Zach all day, man.
Oh man,
He's a good dude. He's nice.
I like Zach.
He's got some out there views though. It is what it is. Let him have them, I guess.
I got no issues with him, man.
Hey, he's as straight up as they come.
Everybody loves him too, man, which is great. Like, I wish I was as passionate about one project just to.
Well, it's like that crazy uncle that comes to Thanksgiving dinner with a tinfoil hat on, tells you all that weird stuff. Dude, I'm telling you right now, they start young,
Yeah. Oh man. All right. I think that's about all I got. What are our thoughts on the relief rally, or we fall off the cliff?
Yeah, relief rally, you really need to see it getting back above. I keep saying 38.2. I do think you could look at it as like a zone, 37, 3 to 38.2. If you're living above that area on the chart, you've got a chance. Like you're back inside of an old range that you could divvy up, and things don't look as. I wouldn't say they don't look as bad, but I'd say that there's a little more hopium there for at least a short-term rally. Could that turn into something more? Sure, anything can happen. But I wouldn't be looking for it until there was a reason to. But for me right now, I'm still in my shorts, looking for lower targets over time potentially, because I do think that here in the next 5 to 10 days we could be seeing I wouldn't say the end, but yeah, probably close to the end of the this like local downtrend, in the sense that look for at least some form of a true rally, kind of like we had where we went to 47K, 48K. It's not like an all-time high rally.
there's an ongoing, I don't know if you call it a joke or not, but anytime that I leave town, there's a massive move out of Bitcoin. So I'm leaving for 2 weeks on the 19th.
Yep.
And I planned it for that specifically because I know that that's our FIB date coming up, one of them.
Yep.
And yeah, we're gonna get a big move. I can just feel it.
You guys will be left with me and Max. Max isn't here. He is on holiday. He stayed in Dubai for that holiday, but he is on holiday, so he'll be back next week. We'll let him divvy up the order flow. The order flow really wasn't anything like too spectacular today. It's pretty simple. Get to the highs, really not a lot of interest. You get the signs of absorption, find your acceptance back into a range, take it down. You bounce, bearish divergence on the bounce. Where does it go? Right to the actual targets. So now it's we technically haven't rotated this whole range in full. Technically, we still need to hit 35K for that to happen. So it's hard to be too excited when you get a candle like you got today. You did break down, close below 36,270 on a daily. So it is one of those things where while we're living above it now, I mean, this is only a few hours of candles. So we need to see this really getting going sooner rather than later. In my opinion, it's not something that you want to see just like hanging out right here. I would much rather see, but the low that we created, I guess we didn't close below it. I take that back. The close wasn't below it. The close was at 36,511. So we didn't close below it. But, if we take this low at some point over the next few days, I wouldn't be surprised. Put in a really good low because this isn't exactly like a great low that you see. So one would expect to maybe take this low, trap some late shorters, get people extra bearish. If we're going to get a push up, that is. One would think we would come back to the lows here. Bait in those people like, well, fuck, we're just going to 28K or 32K, whatever they believe. Some people just believe it's 34K. And then, bounce from that region after a second back test. The beauty of that trade is it's so easy to manage because you have such clear levels of invalidation at that point. You have, obviously you're just monitoring the prior low. Once you reclaim the prior low, open interest looks good. You got your buying imbalances that we look for in the group. Use your templates and you're off and running. That's an easy trade. If you don't get any of that, well, you just don't take the trade and it probably goes lower. That's that's it. You just chill. That's all you can do. You don't have to trade it. That's the one thing I would advise people is you don't have to trade it if the trade's not there for you. So keep that in mind, as always.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm. We're chilling, I guess. Just waiting to see how things go. I still got my short open. I took a ridiculous short at 39,800.
Yeah, that was a good short. You ran it down. You ran it up and down. You did actually. You traded that pretty well. That was a pretty good trade all around. So,
I stayed up late for that one.
I did not. I took the long off the daily, like exactly to the nuts, which was nice.
To the nuts.
Yeah, it's a little local saying here, but I took my profits up around 38.5 when we were getting back into the previous day point of control. I believe the weekly open was there. There was just a lot there that I was like, I'm not going to stay up and monitor this and move my stop. I'm just gonna close it and go to bed, sit in spot, and let it run up, and I'll take the short when we get it. And we got the short, so easy enough.
Yep. We're holding this point of control pretty well too from that historic range from last year, which is interesting.
I have a different POC than you for that one, but I think you're going off of a time-based range inside of that where I was using market structure.
Yeah.
So a little different for me, but no, it's a good level to have on the chart. I mean, you should be holding it. That's where your that swing failure pattern is. That's also the old weekly level. And if you recall, we actually traded that level. This is obviously back in February, but it put in almost exactly, I think it was 36,258, if I remember correctly, is what it went down to, and we were looking for 36,270. So it was a really easy trade, and it was such a weird move, that one, because I remember that candle, like it went from no volume to all the volume like immediately, like no warning. So that was a very interesting one, because I was talking to Crypto Keeper about that, because I remember he was like 15x short, and I was like, yeah, man, you're gonna want to put an invalidation on that like pretty quickly. You start regaining these levels, nothing's going to get roasted. And I think I don't know if he ever got stopped out or if he got liquidated or what happened with it, but he never had a chance to take profits on it. I know that. So hopefully he didn't. Hopefully he didn't let it ride. He was trading market cipher though at that point, which I'm sure he still does, and that's an okay product. It's just you have to understand that one's going to be it's a little more. It's an indicator, so it's fallible. It's always going to be behind price action a little bit.
This range is like chewed up and spit out like 4 patterns too that everybody's just gotten destroyed from. Like this, this number one right here. It was that inverse head and shoulders straight up.
I hated that one too because it's such an ugly inverse head and shoulders. It's not even a good looking inverse head and shoulders. It's not symmetrical at all. But
it's like the perfect example though because that was right into the range high. Like otherwise,
the
other
that one.
I forgot about this one actually until you said that because this was what everybody was looking at the time. Was that bear flag right here? Right, that's when everybody's looking down. That's probably why anybody keeper whoever like that anybody's looking to get short at this point. Because they were looking for this to be a bear flag.
He was short lower where we are now. He was short like where the 36.2 range is.
Yeah, I think that's what I can't remember, but yeah, and then obviously that one just blew past.
Yeah, it was it was just one of those things where there was the inverse head and shoulders. Then like you could look for there was like a bottom potentially. Then this is a triangle, and then it just was all bad, man. All bad. Pattern trading is just not something that you want to hang your hat on unless you have really good risk management. Not that you can't have good risk management and probably make it as a trader, but
it works better when you're trending.
If you're trending, like bull flags work, things like that, they do work. But where you can see consolidation, but there are other things inside of those that will give you a little more indication, than just trading the pattern itself. But not too many people are playing with those tools yet. We're working on that. In the group, we're getting more and more people now that people are finding out you can use them on altcoins too. It seems like there's quite a bit of excitement there. So I saw that happening today where people figured out they can use them on things like Near and other altcoins.
What was it?
So Near Protocol, you can get it now on the desktop version. So I think T-Bone is going to be firing up to be trading Near with it. Matt's been talking about it. A couple other guys in the group have been talking about altcoins and doing some order flow on them. So
you can do Near on Exo?
Yeah, you gotta be on the desktop though. You can't be on the web version. So I think they'll be I don't like the desktop though. Like I've been using desktop and I defaulted all the way back to ATAS. I haven't even been using any templates almost for Exo. I've just been trading off ATS the last like few weeks. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but it's just not been necessary. But I like Exo. It's just I don't know. I prefer ATS. I've always have. It's just a better platform, man. It just is. It's got a better selection of product. It's just got better information, in my opinion. Like I prefer it. If you're looking at footprint though, then you got to go with Exo. But ATAS for everything else is gold. Well, I don't really have anything else to add. Let me make sure there's no other questions. Yeah, Mark is correct.
I think we're just rambling now. So
yeah, which whether they're into or not. So. If you guys don't have anything else,
there's still 60 people watching, so somebody somewhere must be entertained.
Because you leave town more often, my dude. Yeah. Hopefully you guys are all well, trading safe. No one's doing anything crazy, like shorting at support. Otherwise, we'll sign off and we'll catch you guys next week. We do it every Thursday. If you guys missed the beginning of this where we go over Bitcoin or CBO catching up on altcoins, again, it gets posted to YouTube if you're watching on TikTok. So just hop on there and watch it back. And if you guys want to join the group, link is in the bio. Love to have you. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys later.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
Till next time, everybody. Have a nice night. Cheers.